Maharaj is running a little late. Yashoda's bringing him.
Yeah. So we have no feedback there. Sound engineer else?
Memory's very bad.
They're speakers, so
What's that noise? Big dialect?
Page 339 in the songbook, if you haven't found it yet.
339, yeah.
Prabhu, normally we read the translation. Is that okay?
Sure, yes, please.
I offer prayers to the lotus feet of Lord Vishrambar, who removes the refuse from the hearts of the people of Kali Yuga. He attracts his honeybee-like followers with his sweet fragrance, mercifully removing their anguish of separation from him. With his effulgence, he destroys the darkness of Maya's illusion, which has covered the hearts of the living entities since time immemorial. He is forever resplendent with incomparable beauty. Radha Mohan Das feels an intense eagerness to attain his shelter.
339. One day Vishrambar.
Do you understand? No. परिपावन परम दयाल प्रेम दाता पद्मावती कुमार श्री नित्यानंद प्रभु की जय। प्रेम पुरुषोत्तम सचिनंदन श्री गौरंग महाप्रभु की जय। निताई गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। वंदे विश्वं Kamala Vande Vishwam Par Kamala Vande Vishwam Par Kamala Vande Vishwam पुरुषोत्तम सचिनंदन श्री गौरंग महाप्रभु की जय। दामोदर बापू धाम की जय। करी श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। जय गौर श्रीनाथ प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि So by the mercy of Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu, Premadatta Nityananda Prabhu, now we remember transcendental Vrindavan now. Yamuna Pulini. Yamuna Pulini.
What page is it?
130.
130. O Saki, what have I seen today? In a Kadamba grove on the banks of the Yamuna, a beautiful blackish flute player, seated upon a jeweled platform, is performing his pastimes as the king of all Ras.
Wow.
The amorous pastimes of Sri Krishna are just like a waterfall of nectar. Situated upon the 8 petals of the jeweled throne are Sri Radha and Sri Hari, surrounded by their attendants, the 8 principal Sakis.
By singing sweet songs and dancing gracefully, all the Sakis satisfy their treasured divine couple. Beholding Krishna's pastimes, the beautiful spiritual energy expands the splendor of the Vrindavan forest.
To relish the nectar of such pastimes, I will not go home, but will enter the forest instead, renouncing all shyness due to fear of family and society. Just worship the King of Raj. This is the humble entreaty of Bhakti Vinod Thakur. Oops, Bhakti Vinod.
Beautiful. Bale Vrindavan Vihajlal ki jai. Bale Saniwal ki jai. Vishwabhanu Rajkumari Ju ki jai. Jai Jai Sri Radhe. Jamuna Puline Kadamba Kanane Hirinu Sakti Ada Yamuna Puline Kadamba Kanane Hirinu Sakti Ada Yamuna Puline Kadamba Kanane Hirinu Sakti Ada Yamuna Puline Kadamba Kanane Vinodamina Is that Jayapur Maharaj?
For Shripadasha Maharaj.
Yeah. Just a bit closer.
He said he wanted to be in the back.
But if he's close, I'll be more inspired. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Ram, oh Hare Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Hare Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, oh Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura, oh Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, oh Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, oh Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, oh Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, oh Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, oh Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Shri Bhakti Vedanta Vamani Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Shri Vishnu Vishnu Bhakti Shri Maharaj Shri Gaur Govinda Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Shri Vishnu Vishnu Bhakti Shri Maharaj Shri Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Shri Vishnu Vishnu Bhakti Shri Maharaj His Divine Grace Shri A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Vishnu Vishnu Bhakti Shri Shrimad Acharya Shri Bhakti Vedanta Shri Goswami Maharaj Bhakti Deva ki jai. Swaparishad Shri Prabhupada Bhakti Saraswati Thakur ki jai. Jagadguru Shri Prabhupada Bhakti Saraswati Thakur ki jai. Mahabhagavad Shri Gauri Kishordas Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Satyam Goswami Shri Satyam Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki jai. Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Shri Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Shri Gauri Vedanta Acharya Shri Baladev Jibhushan ki jai. Shri Rasik Shri Mani Shri Vishnu Thakur ki jai. Shri Narottam Shri Nivas Shamananda Puruchai ki jai. Shri Krishnas Kaviraj Goswami ki jai. Shri Vidabhadas Thakur ki jai. Shri Gauri Arupanuga Guru Varga ki jai. Shri Sarup Damodar Roy Daman Adi. Shri Gaur Parashad Arvind ki jai. Namachar Shainas Thakur ki jai. Prem se kaho se Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Dvaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Ishvara Puripad Madhavendra Puripad ki jai. Shri Antardeep Mayapur Simadadip Gozumadip Madhadeep Kodadeep Gurudeep Janadeep Madhudeep Shri Navdeep Dhamma ki jai.
Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopi Go Govardhan Dvara Savadamaka Shri Braja Mandala Ki Jai. Shri Radha Kund Shama Kund Yamuna Ganga Tulsi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Shri Purnamasi Yogamaya Devi Ki Jai. Shri Gopeshwar Mahadeva Ki Jai. Shecha Mandala Jagannath Puri Dhama Ki Jai. Shri Jagannath Mahadev Subhadra Chi Sudarshan Chakra Ki Jai. Sarva Vigna Vignasana Shri Nishingadev Bhagavan Ki Jai. Bhakta Pravar Shri Parad Maharaj Ki Jai. Chara Samadaya Charadam Chara Acharya Ki Jai. Akala Mataraja Shri Chaitanya Mata Ki Jai. Dear Bhakti Yoga Society Miami Ki Jai. Shri Radha Tattva Miami Festival Ki Jai. Shri Prem Bharojan Prabhu Ki Jai. Shri Pad Bhakti Vedanta Bhagavat Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Pad Bhakti Vedanta Ashram Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Gurudev Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Bhakta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai. Samagata Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Nitai Gaura Sitanatha Premanande Hari Hari Hari.
Don't go so far away. Especially ashram ones. Can you bring these
Oh my God.
Shy.
He's my teacher. He just came to give me an examination to see if I will graduate or not. Okay. Do we pass this around?
No, no, just for you, and then we can pass this around.
Oh, right, okay, go on. Okay.
The first one. Hello, Hare Krishna.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, dear Dave.
Okay.
Let's not be over dramatic here.
What?
Gaur Premanande!
Hari.
Gurudev Ki Jai.
Radhe Radhe.
For a second. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Okay. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming. Greatly appreciated that you took out time from your busy lives to come here and listen to some teachings that we've gotten from our Guru Parampara. So, I feel very honored to be here today, speaking with all of you, speaking to all of you about Krishna consciousness. I'm not my usual ebullient self because I'm in a lot of pain right now. Ebullient? Come on. I don't have to describe that.
Bubbling over.
The usual way that I am. I'm in a lot of pain right now, but so I'm going to do the best I can because I promised everybody I would be here to speak something. And I remember Srila Prabhupada and Srila Gurudev also speaking even when they were in very uncomfortable circumstances. So, following in that tradition, I shall do my best to speak with you tonight and to give some instructions. I am going to talk tonight about some verses from the Brahma Samhita and the Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Ajnana Timidam Dasya Gananjana Salakaya Chakshurandalitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Hi Chaitanya Manavistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupam Karamaya Dadanti Swapadante. First of all, I offer my humble obeisances unto the lotus feet of my Shiksha and Diksha Guru, Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnupada Satara Sata Sisima, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. Then I offer my humble obeisances unto the lotus feet of my Shiksha and Sannyas Guru, Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnupada Satara Sata Sisima, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayana Goswami Maharaj. I offer my humble obeisances unto the lotus feet of my two Shiksha Gurus, Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnupada Satara Sata Sisimat, Srila Gaur Govinda Goswami Maharaj and Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharti Goswami Maharaj. And I offer my humble obeisances unto the lotus feet of the Sri Rupanuga Guru Varga, Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Prabhupada, and Srila Gaur Kishoradas Babaji and Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur. I also offer my humble obeisances at the feet of all the Vaishnavas and the Vaishnavis who are present here today, headed by Sripad Bhaktivedanta Ashram Maharaj and Sri Prem Prayojan Prabhu. My Dandavat pranams to everyone. Hare Krishna. I also want to take a moment to thank Narasimha and the other devotees who work so hard to organize everything here for the festival.
Rup Narayan Prabhu, Rekha, Achyuta Krishna, Yashoda Jivan, Jai Govinda.
Yashoda Jivan, Jai Govinda.
And then Janava Thakurani came a day early to help with everything.
Jai.
And also Krishna Devi.
Thank you very much.
Basically everyone here.
And also Dhananjaya for taking care of Prem Prayojan
Vishaka
Prabhu.
also.
And Vishaka. So, my thanks to all of you for helping to organize this festival. So, I wanted to talk a little bit tonight about mantra, sound vibration. In mantras, sound vibration, transcendental sound vibration, and how it's established in its eternal spiritual form in the spiritual world, and then is carried forward here in a perverted reflection in the material world, and then can be transformed back into its original nature by the power of the association of sadhu and the recitation of those mantras. So in the Brahma Samhita, it talks about the transcendental lotus of the spiritual world. Karnikaram mahad yantram. Here's that word yantra, figure. From mantra, sound, we get yantra, figure, form. And from this we get tantra, power, shakti. Karnikaram mahad yantram. Sadkonam vajra kilakam. Sadanga satpadistanam. Prakritya purushena cha. Premananda mahananda. Rasheshna vastitam hiyat. Jyoti rupena manuna. Kama bijena sangatam. The kama bija means cling. Cling. You find that in your Gayatri mantras, in your Gopal mantra, and also in your Kama Gayatri mantra. The whirl of that transcendental lotus is the realm wherein dwells Krishna. It is a hexagonal figure. You know, sexagonal means six-sided. In case you're going to ask me. Hexagonal means six-sided. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It is a hexagonal figure, the abode of the indwelling, predominated and predominating aspect of the Absolute. Who's the predominated and predominating aspect of the Absolute? Shri Radha Krishna. Predominated and the predominating. Like a diamond, the central supporting figure of self-luminous Krishna stands as the transcendental source of all potencies. The holy name, consisting of 18 transcendental letters, is manifested in a hexagonal figure with sixfold division. So this mantra that they're talking about here is the Gopal mantra, Klim Krishnaya Govindaya. You're all familiar with the mantra. I can't repeat it like that publicly, but that's what we're talking about. And so there is 18 syllables. And the hexagonal figure is created by 3 syllables each, on each side. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. That's 6. So like this hexagonal figure of Goloka is created like this. And this is how the hexagonal figure of Goloka manifests. And we're going to go into the explanation of the power of the Bij mantra, Kling, in a few minutes. Right now, hello. Okay. Right now I want to make another important point that's made by Srila Saraswati Thakur himself. In the next verse, Tad kinjalakam tad kinjalkam tad amshanam tad patrani shriyam api. The world of that eternal realm, Gokula, is the hexagonal abode of Krishna. Its petals are the abodes of the gopis, who are part and parcel of Krishna, to whom they are most lovingly devoted and are similar in essence. The petals shine beautifully like so many walls. The extended leaves of that lotus are the garden-like dham, i.e. the spiritual abode of Sri Radhika, the most beloved of Krishna. And here, in this verse, Srila Saraswati Thakur says, the eternal world is like a hexagonal figure, in that the entities, Shri Radha Krishna, appearing in the form of a mantra consisting of 18 transcendental letters, are centered. So the conception that Radha and Krishna are composed of mantras is also talked about by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in the 10th canto, 8th chapter, verse number 15 in his purport, where he says that Krishna's body is composed completely of mantras. So, Srila Prabhupada always used to emphasize again and again and again, the name and the form are the same. Krishna and his name are non-different. Krishna and his name are non-different. Mantra, yantra. Name, form. Krishna and his form are non-different. So this is a very important point to understand. Therefore, Narottam Das Thakur in his simplicity explains Golokera Premadana Harinama Sankirtana. This transcendental sound vibration comes directly from Goloka. Directly from the spiritual world. So this is the first thing we have to understand about the apologize, I want to go back and get the verse from the Bhagavatam for you. So this is the first thing that we have to understand, is that mantra forms yantra, okay? So now, we're going to read some things that Srila Prabhupada talks about in the Bhagavatam concerning the transformation. Before we do that, we're going to talk a little bit about the conception that's talked about in the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. In the 15th chapter of the Gita, in the first verse, it says, Urdhva Mulam Ada Shakam. Mula means root, and Shaka means branch. So, Urdhva means up. The root is growing upwards, and the Shaka, the branch, is growing downwards. Where does this happen? Where do we see the root growing up and the branch growing down? We see that when there's a reflection in a lake from a tree that's on the side of the lake. So it's a reflection. It's not real. It's only apparently real. Srila Bharti Maharaj told a really great story one time about understanding the reflection. He said that there was a queen, and that the queen had taken her necklace and put it on the windowsill, and a bird came and grabbed the necklace and ran off with the necklace. So she became frantic. She was shouting out the window, my necklace, the bird has taken my necklace. She was very beloved in the kingdom. So all the inhabitants of the kingdom chased after the bird and followed the bird into the forest. So following the bird deep into the forest, there was a large pond. And when they came to that pond, completely clear, crystal clear pond, they saw at the bottom of the pond was the necklace. So they all dove in to grab the necklace, and they looked around, and then when they got down there, they couldn't see it, so they all came out. So after a few minutes, they looked in the lake again, and they saw it, and they thought, okay, well, somehow we missed it, we'll go back in and get it. They dove back in, and they couldn't find it. So after doing this 2 or 3 times, there was one sage who was meditating there in the forest, and he came over to them and said, look, the necklace is not in the river, the lake. It's not in this pond. Look, up there on the tree. You see it? It's hanging from the branch. And you're seeing the reflection of the necklace in the lake. So Bharti Maharaj explained that to understand this reflection, this perverted reflection, this Urdhva Mulam Madashakam, you need to hear the transcendental sound vibration from the lips of the sadhu. The sadhu is the person who will give you the instructions to understand what is the difference between the reflection and reality. And so, in the third canto, and this is the 26th chapter, verse number 32. Srila Prabhupada is talking about the development of, the Bhagavatam is talking about the development of the manifestation of the material universe. And so the verse is Tamasach cha vikurvanad bhagavad virya choditat shabdamatram abhutasman nava shrotam tu sabdagam. When egoism and ignorance is agitated by the sex energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the subtle element sound is manifested, and from sound come the ethereal sky and the sense of hearing. So we see here that the first element that's manifest from the agitation of the consciousness, the false ego, okay, in the mode of ignorance, is sound. Prior to that, in the beginning of this chapter, it talks about how the first thing that manifests from the pradhan is pure consciousness, Shuddha Sattva. Then the pure consciousness interacting with the mode of goodness, agitated by the mode of goodness, the pure consciousness manifests the mind. Then the pure consciousness manifests when it's agitated by the mode of passion, it manifests the intelligence. Now we see that due to the false egoism and ignorance, it's manifesting sound. Also worthy to note here, it talks about the sex energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because there is a relationship that is being completed here between Krishna and Lakshmi by their reflections, Sadashiv, Vishnu in the form of Shambhu, and the shadow of Ramadevi, Durga Devi. Durga Devi, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, is the manifestation of the female generative organ, the yoni. And Shambhu is the manifestation of the male generative organ, the linga. The linga enters the yoni and deposits the virya, which is the semen, which means the jivas, Paramatma. And when the jivas and Paramatma enter into the pradhan, it becomes animated. This is Prabhupada's whole point. Without life comes from life. Pradhan, the material energy, does not activate itself. It's undifferentiated. It only becomes differentiated because of the presence of the supersoul, which enters into every atom and in between every atom, and the presence of the spirit souls, which inhabit the bodies of every living entity from the single cell. Srila Prabhupada said that in every cell in your body, he wrote this to Swarup Damodar, who is the head of the Bhaktivedanta Institute, in every cell of your body there's a soul. So the souls are everywhere. In every cell of your body there's a soul. In every single celled entity in the universe there's a soul. Prabhupada once held up a glass of water. He said, in this glass of water there are so many souls. The souls are everywhere. They're all pervading. So we have an understanding that life, as we see it, is manifested from life, from the spiritual realm. The concept of a biogenesis, that the amalgamation of material elements can produce consciousness, has never been proven and will never be proven. That is a complete false conception. You cannot get consciousness from dead matter. It won't happen. Dead matter cannot produce consciousness. Only spiritual energy can produce consciousness, because consciousness comes directly from the soul. 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, verse 34, that just as the sun is in one place in the universe, and yet it's pervading the entire universe by sunshine, similarly the soul is in one place in the body and pervades the entire body with consciousness. So consciousness emanates directly from the soul, and the presence of consciousness, Prabhupada says, is what determines that life, that the soul is present in the body. Because the consciousness is non-different from the soul, it's just an extension of the soul, the way sunshine is an extension of the sun. The other important point about the sex energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is that creation doesn't happen by an explosion. I remember when Nishringa came home from school one day, and he said to me, they taught me that there was a theory called Big Bang. The whole world came by an explosion. So, fortunately, we had a good example next door. They were building a house next door, and they had delivered all the materials to build the house. So I took Nishringa outside and I said, look, what do you see here? We see wood, we see nails, we see concrete, we see shingles, we see windows, we see all these different materials to build a house, right? He said, yeah. So I said, if I throw a stick of dynamite in there, is the house going to get built? He said, no. He said, it takes living, conscious beings to build the house. All a stick of dynamite is going to do is make a hole in the ground. So this is important because it tells us how creation keeps going. If creation was an explosion, then we would keep creating things by explosions, but explosions create nothing but holes in the ground. So what do we get? How do we get creation? It's when two conscious beings unite out of some sense of love or lust or whatever, and then that creates another being, another living entity. This is the process. Creation is done by this. And everything that you see that's created is based on this. Just like when Alexander the Great, he became very fascinated with India and everything that was going on in India when he was conquering the country. So he was learning so much from the Ayurvedic doctors and the Brahmins and different people. So he asked one day, he said, who has all the knowledge? I want to go speak to the person who has all the knowledge. So they said, well, up this hill here, there's a cave, there's this sage in the cave, he knows everything. So he climbs up the hill with his friends. He goes there and he sees the sage sitting at the mouth of the cave naked. Completely naked, he's sitting in the sun meditating. So Alexander the Great comes and he stands in front of him. And he says, I'm Alexander the Great. I have conquered everything from Greece to India. I own all of this part of the world. Whatever it is that you want, I can give you. I can give you land. I can give you palaces. I can give you horses. I can give you princesses. Whatever you want, I'll give you. I want your knowledge. What is it that you want? The man said, can you move to the side? You're blocking the sun. So for a person who has nothing, not even clothes, he doesn't need anything. But if two people cohabitate and they make a family, they need shelter, they need a job, they need an income, they need all these different things. So these things come about by sex energy. And so we see that everything that's created in this world is based on the ability to maintain the sex energy of the various people who live in the world. Otherwise, why create all these big cities and all these jobs and all these businesses and all these planes and trains and boats and all the different things that go everywhere and everything?
All these yoga studios in Miami.
All these things are done simply for the sex energy. Okay, so now Srila Prabhupada makes the point that sound is the beginning. So from sound, we get the sense of hearing, and we get the structural sense of the ear, and we get the voice box, which makes the sound. So there's hearing, there's sound, there's the voice box, there's the ear. Okay, but now how does the sound get from the voice box to the ear? If I were to take this room and seal it and vacuum out all the air and it was just space, you couldn't hear me. Sound can't travel in space. So ether creates the ear and the sound, but for it to travel from the voice box to the ear, the next element, air, is required. So like this, there's a cooperative manifestation of one element after the other. Air comes, and with air we get the senses of touch and skin, and we get the hand for grasping things that we want to touch. And then after that, we get the next thing, which is fire, because fire can show us that item that we're looking to touch, and it can give us some warmth. With only air and ether, it's cold. To temper the fire and to make sure it doesn't get out of control, we have to use water, and water manifests as fire manifests the eye and the ability to see, and the legs to walk to the item that you want to grasp with your hand. And then water manifests the upper tongue, the sense of taste, the taste in the tongue, and the taste in the lower tongue, which is the genital. There's two kinds of tastes. And then to hold all of this, we have earth, the element of earth, which creates the sense of smell. I remember walking with Srila Prabhupada one time, and in Bombay, and he pointed, there was this whole field of flowers. He said, look, all these different flowers, they have a different fragrance. Why do they have different fragrances? And he said, because all the fragrances are in the earth, and the seed extracts the particular fragrance for that flower and produces it. So all the fragrance comes from the earth. And so with fragrance comes the nose, the sense of smell, and also the anus. And in Ayurvedic medicine and Chinese medicine, when someone is having a congestion in his nose, they give them medicine to clear the bowels, because this is the process. The congestion comes from down there. So like this, we see the connections on all the different sciences. So now Srila Prabhupada is talking about sound. And he says we have to understand very clearly that sound is the beginning of the creation of all material objects for our sense gratification. Sound is the beginning of creation of all material objects for our sense gratification. Similarly, if sound is purified, our spiritual necessities are also produced from sound. Anavritti Shabdat means liberation by sound. This is a Vedic aphorism from Vedanta Sutra. The entire material manifestation began from sound, and sound can also end material entanglement if it has a particular potency. So I make a simile, going back to that example of the real tree on the side of the bank of the pond, the lake, and the reflection in the lake. And how is that reflection disturbed so that the reality can be shown is that a branch from the tree hangs down and a leaf disturbs that reflection and creates an understanding of the difference between the reflection and the reality of the tree on the side of the lake. So in this way, it's understood that when the pure devotee descends from the spiritual world and he comes here to the material world, he disturbs that particular vision that we have of the reflection, and he allows us to see the reality. And this all happens by Anufritti Shabda, by transcendental sound. So I wanted to talk about one last thing, and then we'll move on from there. And that is about the beach mantra, cling. And cling has 5 syllables, ka, la, I, anuswar, bindu. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur talks in his commentary about the symbols, the syllables, the 5 syllables in the cling mantra. And he explains how each one of them represents a variety of different things. One of them, one explanation of this beach mantra, and this is in the part of Gurudev's commentary on the Brahma Samhita in the 24th verse of the Brahma Samhita, in that commentary. So one of the points is, one of the explanations for the beach mantra is ka, means Krishna's face, head, neck, eyes, etc. Then la, the shoulders, chest, abdomen. I means the genital area and the thighs, and anuswar bindu means the calves and the lotus feet. Then ka, la, I, anuswar bindu. Ka means Krishna. La means the ocean of ecstatic love between Radha and Krishna. I means Srimati Radhika. And Anuswar Bindu means the ecstatic kissing between Radha and Krishna. Then Kala Anuswar Bindu represents the 5 flower arrows. You know, in your Kam Gayatri mantra, there is the Pushpa, Banaya. Pushpa means flower, Banaya means arrow. So there's 5 flower arrows. One of them is jasmine, one of them is mango, one of them is ashoka. I forget all 5 of them. But there's 5 different flower arrows that are shot by the sidelong glances of Krishna. And then Kala I Anuswar Bindu means the 5 material elements, earth, water, fire, air, ether. And within every syllable, there's mantras. So this beach mantra was given to Lord Brahma by Krishna when he played the flute. And Lord Brahma received the beach mantra, and within the beach mantra is this 5 elements. And in each syllable, there are so many mantras explaining how to manipulate those elements. And so Srila Sridhar Maharaj, Bhakti Rakshak Srila Sridhar Maharaj explains how in the tertiary creation of the universe, Lord Brahma teaches this beach mantra to Vishvakarma. Vishvakarma is the engineer of the universe who creates the whole universe. He's the one who manifests all the different planets and everything that we see, with the exception of the Milky Way, which was created by Vishwamrita. So we have all of this being done, and an example of how it is done, we can tell from the building of the city of Dwarka. And give you an idea of how by sound, by mantra, you manipulate elements. I was on the beach with Prabhupada taking a walk in Juhu, which was just south of Dwarka. And I asked him, I said, in your Krishna book, I read that Vishwakarma built Dwarka within the sea. I said, does that mean that he held back the water on a 90 square mile radius, and then at the bottom of the ocean, on the floor of the ocean, he built the city of Dwarka? Prabhupada said, yes, this is correct. So I once asked, I was giving a lecture in Bombay to a group of engineers. I said, most of you here are engineers. Is there any way that we can engineer something like that today? And they said, no, this is not possible. Swamiji cannot do it. So this is the power of sound vibration. By sound vibration, you can take an ocean and hold back the ocean wall and build a wall with sound vibration, mantras that hold back that water, and then on the ocean floor create a city. This is not possible by any other means than mantra. They say that they found the city of Dwarka, or the remnants of it near in Gujarat, but I don't think they've actually found it, because it would be a much more vast and greater city than they're looking at in some of the things that I've seen. So this is the power of sound. This is the power of mantra. Prabhupada is saying everything can be transformed by mantra. We see that Vishwakarma had such power that he could transform the ocean walls, that he could transform everything by simply reciting mantra. And we see that the personalities, we see that Lord Brahma, who has received these mantras, gave them to Vishwakarma and has used them to transform everything within the material universe. So Prabhupada's point is very clear. It's by sound, material sound has created all of this material sense gratification that we see. And material sound can be transformed by spiritual sound. And by spiritual sound, we can transform everything back into spiritual energy. There's a purport about that in the Bhagavad Gita, which we won't go into because I think I've been talking long enough. But I want to thank everyone for listening. Try to remember that the most important thing is that we get pure sound. We get pure transcendental sound from the lips of the devotee. This is the process for achieving Krishna consciousness. By the mercy of the sadhu, who bestows upon us the transcendental sound vibration from Goloka, Golokera, Premadana, then our consciousness can become clarified, and that reflection in the lake can be disturbed, and the reality can be visualized, and we can transcend the reflection and enter into the reality. It's a long process, but it begins with sound, transcendental sound from the lips of the sadhu. So that's my little speech for today. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. You have your own mic, right?
It's the Jagabinda, the projector.
Hare Krishna.
Yes. Working.
Acha. Thank you, Maharaj. With my permission. With your permission, Maharaj. Nama Shristam Manamapi Shachiputram Atra Surupam Rupam Tasya Krajamuri Puri Bhakti Kripaya Sri Guru Tamnatos Gurave Gaura Chandraya Radhikai Dadali Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Namo Anandalilamaya Vigrahaya Hema Padivyatschavi Sundaraya Tasmai Mahaprema Rasapradaya Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Bhaktya Vina Aparada Lakshay Jilvashta Kamari Thoram Gomorki Kripamaidam Sharanam Prapanna Vrinde Namaste Sharanaravinam Vrinde Namaste Sharanaravinam Govinda Ramo Dharmaraveti Govinda Ramo Dharmaraveti Govinda Ramo Dharmaraveti Govinda Ramo Dharmaraveti Everyone. Hare Krishna, Hare Radha, Hare Saki, Govinda Ramo Dharmaraveti. Sham Sundar Shikhanda Shekhar Smaraha Sumurali Manohara Radhikar Skamama Kripaniti Supriya Charna King Kurim Kuru Tavaivasmi Tavaivasmi Rajivami Tayavana Iti Vikyaya Devi Tam Nayama Charantikam. First of all, I offer my Sastang Dandavat Puspanjali, my heart like flowers, thousands and thousands of times at the lotus feet of my Holy Master, my supremely worshipable spiritual Gurudev, Asmatiya Paramaradhatama Guru Pada Padma, Nitrila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pada, Ashtotara Sutta Sri Rupanugacharya Varya, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. Secondly, I offer my pranam thousands of times at the lotus feet of my Param Gurudev to Srila Prabhupada and to all of our Sri Rupanuga Gaudiya Guru Parampara. And finally, I offer my pranam to Ananya Chaitanya Padagam and all the assembled Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis, Pancha Kautaka, Vasu, Uditana, Pavanidyo, Vaishnavadyo, Namo. So you are all very kind to me that you are giving me your association during this period, these days leading up to Sri Radhastami, where we're celebrating for 4 days this Radha Tattva festival. So we'll have 7 classes during this time. We want to try to give an outline of 7 subjects related to Radha Tattva. So first of all, it's essential to discuss the Bhaktas, Radha's devotees, because without the Kripa, the mercy of pure Vaishnavas, it is impossible to approach this subject at all. So we'll discuss that today. Tomorrow morning, we'll discuss Radha Naam, the glories of the holy name. And in the evening, we'll discuss Radha Dham. Vihar Vipinay Ramatam Manome. May our hearts always take pleasure in the kunjas of Vrindavan where Radhika is wandering. Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur. So Radha Dham in the third class. Then after that, we'll discuss one class on Radha Gun, Radhika's qualities. And then after that, Radha's Parikar, associates, her Sakhis. And that will coincide with Lalita Saptami, the day we celebrate the glories of Lalita Sakhi. Then, after that, we'll discuss one class on Radha's Lila, Lila Tattva. And then, finally, in the last class of this festival, Radha Seva. Because why are we hearing all these things? Only to attain Radha Seva, to please her. Then I believe there'll be one more extra program. It was mostly added by Nashinga Prabhu on my one day off. Before the next festival. So we're beginning today with the Bhaktas. You know, Srila Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, he gave the definition of the Gaudiya Mat. He said, in a world which is filled with the avidvad ruddhi of words, that means Mike illusory interpretations and understandings of words. The Gaudiya Mat is the place where the vidvad ruddhi, that means the pure transcendental meanings of words, makes its appearance. This is the Gaudiya Mat, the place where the vidvad ruddhi of words, that means the profound spiritual meaning of all words, as they understood by vidvats, the learned persons, enlightened, pure Vaishnavas, that Gaudiya Mat is a place where that descends. Because actually, we use words all the time. And even in devotional circles, often we use words like Shravan, Kirtan, Smaran, Sadhana, Bhav, and so on, but without a clear understanding, really, of the Vidvat Ruddhi, the actual power of the words. So the Vidvat Ruddhi meaning of Gaudiya comes from Gaura. Gaura means, you know, the sugar, you see the sugar, Gur? Gur. It comes from Gur. It means natural sweetness. Natural sweetness. And Gaudiya also comes from Gauri. Gauri is a name of Radharani. So who is a Gaudiya Vaishnava? This is the Vidvat Ruddhi meaning. How does the vibration Gaudiya appear in the consciousness of the pure Vaishnavas? The word Gaudiya appears in their consciousness as those who relish the natural sweetness of Radha Seva. They are Gaudiyas. So Radhika is only known through her Bhaktas. So we are very fortunate today. You are blessing me with this opportunity to purify myself by glorifying Bhaktas, the Vaishnavas. Parikshit Maharaj posed a question to Shukadev Goswami. When Shukadev Goswami heard it, he said, Sadhu Pristam Maharaja Harish Charitam Adbhutam Yan Bhagavata Mahatmyam Bhagavat Bhakti Vardhanam. Oh, Maharaj, Parikshit Maharaj, you've asked a very wonderful question, meritorious question, because it relates to the astonishing pastimes of the Supreme Lord, in which appears Yad Bhagavata Mahatmya, the glories of the devotees. And by hearing the glories of the devotees, Bhagavad Bhakti Vardhanam, you can understand that, right? It means hearing the glories of the devotees, our Bhakti Vardhanam increases. And so it's very effective and essential to hear the glories of the Vaishnavas deeply. And then what will be the result? Bhakti will appear in our hearts, and if there's already something there, it will vardhanam, it will grow, it will increase. Now, he says especially, Yat Bhagavata Mahatmyam, the glories of the Bhagavatas. They are the devotees who have realized Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhakta Bhagavata. All the verses of Srimad Bhagavatam are living in their throat, waiting to jump out. They are the embodiment of all the rasa, all the tattva, all the leelas, unlimited profound meanings of Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatanam asvado rasikaisaha. Rupa Goswami said, one must taste the meanings of each word, no, each syllable of Srimad Bhagavatam in the company of Rasik Vaishnavas. They are Bhagavatas. Sutta Goswami himself, who is speaking Srimad Bhagavatam, he is Bhagavata. And at the end, the very end, in the 12th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Sutta Goswami said, Kasma yena vibhasitoya matalo jnana pradipa pura tadrupena chanaradaya munaye krishnaya tadrupena yogrindraya tanatmanata bhagavatrataya karunyatas tatshuddham vimalam vishokam amritam satyam param dhimahi. What is he saying? Satyam param dhimahi. Let us meditate Satyam param dhimahi, on the highest truth. That Satyam, Satyam Vratam, Satyaparam Satyam. That is Krishna himself. Let us meditate on Krishna. Kasma yena vibhasitoyam. It was Krishna who manifested this Srimad Bhagavatam. Vibhasita means it is revealed. In other words, even Krishna did not create Srimad Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam is eternal. When Krishna revealed it, it wasn't new. Srimad Bhagavatam is eternal. In fact, it's his own sound vibration form. It is a Vanmayi Murti, Krishna in the form of words. And Krishna himself revealed it in the beginning, Jnana Pradipa Pura. In ancient times, this Jnana Pradip, this lamp of divine knowledge, he revealed it to Brahma. Then, Tadrupaina Chanaradaya. Tadrupaina means in that roop, in that very form, he revealed to Narad. What does that mean? It means that Krishna assumed the form of Brahma, and in the form of Brahma, he revealed it to Narad. Tadrupena chanaradaya munaye krishnaya tadrupena. Then he says again, tadrupena means, and then Krishna took the form of Narad and revealed it to Vyas. Yogindraya tadatmanata. Here tadatmanata means in that form again, 3 times in this verse. Tadrupena, tadrupina, tadatmana. Then, having revealed it to Vyasadeva, then Krishna became Vyasadeva and revealed it to Shukadeva Goswami. Bhagavatrataya karunyatas. And then Shukadeva Goswami revealed it to me. Sutta Goswami is speaking, right? He's the disciple of Shukadeva Goswami. So it's Tatshuddham Vimalam. This Srimad Bhagavatam is Shuddha, completely pure, completely immaculate. It is eternal, spotless nectar. Now, Sutta Goswami is being very humble. He's not saying to Shaunika Rishi, oh, and now Krishna has taken my form and is revealing it to you, out of humility. But that's the Dwani. Dwani means the suggestion in the poem. So out of humility, he's not saying that, but that's clearly what he's saying. So Srila Jiva Goswami, in his commentary on this, he said, this is the glory of the Bhagavat Guru. You know, people say, what's this Bhagavat? You've never heard of Bhagavat Guru. There's no such thing as Bhagavat Guru. This verse is actually the explanation of the meaning of Bhagavat Guru. And Jiva Goswami Pad, he explains that this is the Bhagavat Guru Mahatmya and describes the Sampradaya of the Bhagavat Gurus. So, don't think that Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur invented this new thing. This is actually our Siddhanta, our philosophy. But it's not understood by those who are in of the Raganuga Bhakti. Bhagavad Maha means Raganuga Bhakti. So this is the glory of the Vaishnava. That, as you know, it is said in the Upanishads that Nayam Atma Pravachanena Labhyo Namevyam Na Bahuna Sutena Yamevese Vrinutitena Labhyas Tasyait Tatma Vivrinite Tanam Swam. The Supreme Lord cannot be known by vast intelligence, He cannot be known by so much Vedic study, by giving learning discourses. How is He known? He's known to that person to whom He Himself reveals. Tanum Swam. That means Krishna Himself takes the form, Sakshat Haritvena, of Guru, of the Mahabhagavat, in the Bhagavat Parampara, and Krishna Himself reveals Himself. This is the glory of the Vaishnava. Therefore it says, Yadyapi Amara Guru Chaitanya Das, Tatapi Janya Ami Tahara Prakash. Guru Rupa Krishna Haya, Shastra Pramane, Guru Rupa Krishna Kripa Karan Bhakta Gane. Guru is one form of Krishna, it's the form of Krishna in which He distributes His mercy to the devotees. So, Vaishnavas are very great. Without them, we cannot get bhakti. This is one of our axioms of spiritual life. Maharaj can explain. Rahu Ganaitat, you know this? Rahu Ganaitat Tapasayat Nayati. No, he knows it, like Swarup Damodar Goswami. Swarup Damodar Goswami was the most learned among the associates of Mahaprabhu, but no one knew because he didn't speak so much. So, in Srimad Bhagavatam, again and again this principle is there. Rahu ganaitat tapasana yati na cheja nirvapana griyadva na chandasanaiva jalagni surya binam hat padarajobhishekam. Not by doing austerities, not by taking sannyas, not by study of the Vedas, not by performance of sacrifices, not by immersing yourself in the freezing cold water in the winter or doing austerities in the hot sun surrounded by blazing fire in the summer. How does one attain bhakti and realize Param Tattva Sri Krishna? How? Bina mahat padarajo vishekam. Unless one takes abhishek, a complete shower, in the foot dust of the pure Vaishnavas, then these truths cannot be revealed, they cannot be known. Prahlad Maharaj has said also, Naisham matistavad rukramangram sprashyatinata pagamaya data maheshans padre jobhishekam niskinchananam navrinita yavat. That's unless and until one smears his body in the foot dust of the Mahabhagavats, pure Vaishnavas, his anarthas will not go away. His attachments, his illusion, misconceptions, not going anywhere. After many, many years hearing, chanting, Mahat Kripa Bina Kona Karma Bhakti Nai. Krishna Bhakti Duri Rai Sansar Naikshai. Without the mercy of Mahat, nothing that you do will even be bhakti. It will not be bhakti. Even your hearing, chanting, remembering. What seems like it will not be bhakti. Without Mahat Kripa. What to speak of being bhakti, one cannot even loosen the bondage of material existence. Sansar nahikshay. So this is the axiomatic truth of Vaishnavism, that without sadhu sangha and Vaishnava seva, we cannot realize the divine transcendental truth. And what's more, even associating with the Shuddha Vaishnavas, like Prahlad Maharaj, like Bharat Maharaj, who have spoken these verses that we're actually speaking. Rahu Ganaitat Tapasal Yajati is spoken by Bharat Maharaj. Nice Samaritan is spoken by Prahlad Maharaj. But even associating with such Vaishnavas, one will not realize Radha Seva, Radha Krishna Leela. That only comes from Anuraja Radha Padamboja Renum Anasritya Brindatvi Tatpadankam Asambhasya Tad Bhava Gambhira Chitan Kutashava Sisyo Sindo Rasashava Gaha. Srila Raghunath Das Goswami said, 3 conditions, unless and until one takes shelter of the dust of the lotus feet of Srimati Radhika, unless and until one takes shelter of Brajadham, which is decorated with the sweet footprints of Srimati Radhika, and unless and until Asambhasya Tadbhava Gambhira Chitan, one has a sambhasya, that means conversation, profound, beautiful conversation with a Vaishnava whose heart, whose chitta is deeply absorbed in Radha Seva. Then, Kuta Shama Sindhu Rasa Syavagaha. Where is Shama Sindhu? That means the ocean of Shringar Rasa. Where? That means no one can even know in which direction to take the first step in the direction of that ocean without fulfilling these 3 conditions. One of which, the most important of which, is the association of the Braj Rasik Vaishnavas. So these are axiomatic truths of Gaudiya Vaishnavism. And one may hear them and accept them. But what I want to do this evening is try to express, in accordance with the conception of our Gaudiya Acharyas, exactly why the Sadhu Sangha is absolutely necessary. This is our subject for this evening. I will just, at this moment, only decorating the altar. Now we're introducing the actual Qatar of the class. We have decorated the altar now, and now the Qatar is coming. This is the subject. Why we need Sadhu Sangha. Achha. So, first question is this. Why does God create the world? Why does this world exist? The actual cause of the creation is the devotee, the love of the devotee. In the Padma Purana it is said, Mad Bhaktanam Vinodartham Karomi Vivida Kriya. Supreme Lord says, I have many activities, many pastimes, and I do them for the pleasure of my devotees. That's why I have pastimes. To give pleasure. Mad Bhakta Vinodartham. To give vinod, pleasure to my devotees. Krishna said. So the Srishti Leela, that is the creation of the world, is no except. He doesn't say, I have so many pastimes and they're all to please my devotees, except for the creation of the world. Even the Srishti Leela, the creation of the world, because is the bhakti, the love of the devotee. How is that? In the 7th canto, Narad Rishi explains this to Yudhishthira Maharaj. He says, Yada siksrishu pura atmana paro raja sridyat esha pritakso mayaya satvam vitrityasu rirangsu ishvaraha saishyamanastamasirayatyaso. The meaning is this. During the time of the pralay, the annihilation, there's no manifestation of the world. At that time, all the elements are dissolved and the souls, they enter into the body of Vishnu. Everything is in a dormant position. But there are devotees from the previous creation and they have progressed so far in their devotion, but they haven't become perfect yet. And because of that, those who have not attained yet to Bhav, they cannot go and take birth in the Leela or go to Vaikuntha. So they were absorbed in the body of Vishnu. But then the Supreme Lord is thinking, I want to accept their service of those devotees. I want to give them a chance to perfect their sadhana and come to me. So feeling separation from them, and with great joy, the Supreme Lord, by his Swarup Shakti, his Kriya Shakti, he gives the new bodies to the devotees. So sadhak forms so that they can perform their sadhana and become perfect and come to him. You see. Now, how does the Kriya Shakti of the Supreme Lord, which is of Swarup Shakti, lead to creation? We should know that. Oh, who's controlling the slides? I've put a few verses and technical things here to help you keep it. So, okay. Let me see. No, let me see. Next one. Yeah, okay. Let's here. Okay. So, the Kriya Shakti of the Supreme Lord wants to give joy to the devotees and give them bodies so they can serve him. That's called Bhakti Vinodaya, for the purpose of giving joy to the devotees. Bhakti Vinodaya. So, the Mukhya Pravritti of his Kriya Shakti, that is his power of activity. Or perhaps I have to just give a little context. Supreme Lord has one energy that acts in a variety of ways. And according to the variety, the ways in which it acts, it has a name. You see? So, when it manifests the spiritual world, it's called Antaranga Shakti. When it manifests the material world, it's called Bahiranga Shakti. When it manifests the jivas, it's called Tatastha Shakti. Right? Now, Krishna also has Icha Shakti, Jnana Shakti, Icha Shakti, and Kriya in that order. Because first you have to have Jnana, awareness, consciousness. When you're conscious, you can have Icha, you can desire something. But having a desire is no good unless you can fulfill it, so you need Kriya, the power to act. So the Supreme Lord has three Vaibhavs, that is the internal, external, and marginal potency. He has three Prabhavs. Prabhavs means influences. That is Jnana Shakti, Icha Shakti, and Kriya Shakti. And he has three Anubhavs, that which gives realization of the spiritual world and transcendental emotions. That is Sandini, Samvit, and Hladini. So this is a summary of all the energies of the Lord. What are they? Three Vaibhavs, three Prabhavs, and three Anubhavs. Okay, just make sure everyone's paying attention. What are the three Vaibhavs? Just raise your hand. Three Vaibhavs? The internal potency, Antaranga Shakti, the Bahiranga Shakti, external, and then the Tatastha Jiva. Okay, three Vaibhavs. Okay, what are the three Prabhavs, the influences? Because these influences act on all the energies. They act on the internal, the external, and the marginal. So what are the three Prabhavs, influences of the Lord? Yes? Yeah? And Gyan. Yeah, exactly. But in the other order. So, Gyan, Icha, and Kriya. Okay? And then, Lord has three Anubhavs. They are? Anubhav means feeling or realization.
Samvit, Sandini, and Hladini.
And Hladini.
Yes, Sandini, existence. Samvit, the spiritual consciousness. And Hladini, the pleasure potency. Samvit and Hladini mixed together is Bhakti Shakti. Huh? Okay. So these are the energies of the Lord. Now, by his Kriya Shakti, his transcendental Kriya Shakti acts upon the material energy to give a body to his devotees. Because this is the truth of the matter, that the Supreme Lord never interacts with his material energy, he only interacts with his spiritual energy. So because the devotees are related to him, they have some bhakti, then Krishna gives them bodies through his Kriya Shakti. That's the Mukhya Vritti, the main function of his Kriya Shakti. That is called Mukhya Vritti. But that Mukhya Vritti of the Kriya Shakti, which is giving bodies to the devotees, has an abhas, a semblance. That is called the Pravritti Abhas. And that is what does Gun Udbodh, that means awakens the gunas. You see? The world has to be created. But he doesn't awaken the gunas because he wants to create. He wants to give bodies to his devotees. So through his spiritual Kriya Shakti, he gives them bodies. That is the Mukhya Pravritti, the main intention. His main intention of his spiritual energy. But incidentally, the abas of that energy does gun udbodh, destabilizes the three gunas, and the whole creation comes about incidentally. So we can give an example, just like today, my dear godbrother Dhananjay Prabhu, he was cooking. So it was a bit cold because the AC was on very high where we were staying. But he started cooking and the whole place became warm. So Jiva Goswami gives this example, not the example of Dhananjay, but he says that when we cook in the kitchen, our mukhya pravritti, our main intention was to cook. But incidentally, the kitchen became warm. Right? You understand? So in the same way, why does the world exist? Because Krishna loves his devotees and he wants to reciprocate with them. And incidentally, everything else pops out. Miami, New York, London, Rome, all the other countries and all the conditioned souls. It's just like incidentally. But that wasn't the intention. Understand? So this world exists for the happiness of the devotees. So they can do their sadhana and come to him. The mukhya pravritti gives bodies to the devotees of the Kriya Shakti, and the pravritti abhas manifests, causes the gunas to act, and everything else is going on by that abhas of the original Kriya Shakti. So, there's another little technical term here. It is said that the Kriya Shakti, which is in Maya, that is Rajagun, the mode of passion, does all the activities. That is pravrittiva sambalita. It is united with the abhas of the spiritual Kriya Shakti. You see? So the Kriya Shakti, that is Krishna interacting with his devotee, and its abhas becomes united with the Rajagun by which the whole universe, all the creation goes on. That's what Maharaj was saying, the sex energy, right? Passion that causes creation. Okay, now, when the Supreme Lord comes to this world, he never interacts with the gunas. This is an amazing thing. And so, if you can go just, I think, forward one. Yeah. So this is the verse we're discussing today. Narad Muni is saying in 7th canto, Jyotir adir ivabati, sangatam na vivicchate, vadyantat manam atmastam matitva kavayon tata. The meaning is this. Abhati means appears. The Supreme Lord's energy, Ivabhati, appears in this world, Jyoti Adi, like a Jyoti, like light or fire, and the other elements. Sangatan means because it's mixed in with the bodies of the living entities in his Leela, some who assist him and some who oppose him. Na vivicchate, a person cannot distinguish how the energy of the Lord is in the persons who are interacting with him in his Leela. But Vedanti means the Kavis in the last line, the wise persons, the learned persons, Kavya, the Kavis, Vedanti, they know this. They can see Atmanam Atmastan, that the power of the Lord enters into the living entities who are interacting with him in his Leela. Matitva, that means after deliberating on it for a long time and gradually negating the other possibilities which are not possible. Negating other ideas. That's the overview of the verse. Now, don't be confused. I'll spell it out very clearly and illustrate it. So everything, I hope, will be as clear as a crystal. If it's not as clear as a crystal, you can write your complaint and put it in my box. It's my fault, okay? So what it means is this. Let's say when Supreme Lord, like in the churning of the ocean of milk, Lord Vishnu appears, the demons are there, the demigods, and he's interacting with them all. So it looks like God, who's transcendental, is interacting with his material energy. It looks like that, right? But actually, the Supreme Lord never interacts with his material energy. He interacts only with his spiritual energy. He interacts with his devotees. But we see when he appears, that let's say if he comes to protect Prahlad Maharaj, he's interacting with Prahlad Maharaj. But he also interacts with demons, and he also interacts with demigods. The demigods assist him, and the demons try to oppose him. But the truth of the matter is, he never, ever interacts with the material energy, with the three gunas, the demigods in Sattva-gun, or the asuras in Rajagun, or the yakshas and rakshasas in Tamagun. How does it happen? You know, in the Gita, Krishna said that there are three gunas. And when one goes up, the others go down. And when the other one goes up, then the others go down. They're always in competition. They never all go up at the same time. Only Krishna's spiritual energy can all the energies go up at the same time. But the material gunas are always fluctuating, competing with each other. Now, when the devas and the demons churn the ocean of milk, actually, the demigods have no power to assist the Supreme Lord, and the demons have no power to oppose him. But his power enters into them, and therefore they can participate. Perhaps you know, when they first started to churn, they wanted to churn, they carried the mountain to the ocean and sank, and they couldn't do anything, and many of them were injured. So what happened is, it said that Sattva-gun increased to give power to the devatas, Rajagun increased to give power to the demons, and Tamagun increased to make Vasuki become senseless, because it was very painful being, the churning robe in the pastime. So it's mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam that three gunas all increased at the same time. That is impossible. So what actually happened here is that even though everything in the world is going on by the pravritti abhas, Maharaj was saying, the shadow, the material is like the shadow of the spiritual. Everything is going on in a shadow-like way. But during the Leela, the mukhya pravritti, the spiritual potency of the Supreme Lord's Kriya Shakti, takes over and enters into everyone, knowingly or unknowingly. So the spiritual Shakti enters in here, Atmanam Atmastam. Those who are kavis, they understand that the Supreme Lord's energy entered into the demons and the demigods and Vasuki to give them the strength to assist or oppose in his Leela. So the Supreme Lord, though he comes to this world, he's still only interacting with his spiritual energy. He's never interacting with the material energy. Now someone may say, well look, the demigods and the demons, they don't feel like they're under the spiritual energy or anything. They're not becoming whatever, enlightened or whatever. So that's what this verse is explaining. Jyotiradi ivabhati. His energy is entering in just like light, etc., and other elements. So we can illustrate it very nicely. The example is given of a convex lens. If the sun's shining, and you take a lens, a magnifying glass, and you hold it, it concentrates the rays of the sun, and you can set fire to grass. Now, if someone doesn't understand the science behind it, they think that this glass, this convex lens, has the power to burn grass. Does a lens have the power to burn grass?
No.
If you bring one here, can it burn the grass?
No.
If it's night time, can it burn the grass?
No.
But a person with simple childish intelligence will say, wow, look at this. This glass can burn the grass. But it doesn't. It's the power of the sun entering through it, and then it has that capability. So in the same way, in all the incarnations of the Supreme Lord, when he's fighting with any demons or whether demigods are assisting him, no one actually has the power to assist. No one has the power to oppose. Only his own Shakti enters into them, and he does his perfect Leela. In such, no one messes up, no rasabas will come, no one will actually, throw a spanner in his plan. Everything, every aspect of his Leela is done by his Kriya Shakti entering into everyone, but they don't know it, just like a child thinks the burning power is coming from the magnifying glass. Another example is, here it says Jyoti Ardiya, light, etc. It means the other elements as well. Let's say if there's a drum, right? And you beat the drum, boom. Everyone sees that the sound is coming from the drum. Right? You all saw it? The sound came from the drum.
Right.
We speak like that in a conventional way. But the drum is made of clay. Right? And what's the quality of earth? Maharaj was telling everything. He prepared everything. It was a divine arrangement. Right? The quality of earth is fragrance. So the drum which is made of earth, its quality is fragrance. Where does sound come from? Akash. But because the Akash is sangat, sangat means compounded in the drum, therefore we think that the clay of the drum is making the sound, but actually it's being released from Akash. You see? So in the same way, the demons and demigods who are either opposing the Lord or assisting the Lord have no power to do so. They feel like they're doing it, but the actual power is the Supreme Lord's Kriya Shakti, and the whole thing is transcendental. But they think that they are assisting or opposing the Supreme Lord in His Leela, just as in a conventional way we think, oh well, the drum made the sound. No, the sound is all pervading, it's in the Akash, and it was released when you hit the drum. Okay, so this is Sankhya philosophy. So, now, why are we discussing this? Because the pure Vaishnav, Guru Krishna Rupahana Shastra Pramane, is one form of the Supreme Lord. Tanum Swam. The pure Vaishnav is one body of the Lord. So when the pure Vaishnava comes into this world, he also does not interact with the material energy. When the pure Vaishnava comes to this world, no one can assist him. And no one can oppose him. You think that the Sahajas and Jack Gosai and others in Navadvip can kill Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur when they attacked him during Navadvip Parikrama, throwing stones from the rooftops? This is a Leela, only to manifest the glory of Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami, who took Prabhupada into a room and exchanged clothes with him. In this way, this is really Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur was giving him sannyas, and also showing to the world the dedication that that disciple is ready to take his life in his hand to serve his Guru Pada Padma. So pure Vaishnavas, when they come in this world, they don't interact with the external energy. Wherever they go, Krishna's Kriya Shakti takes over everything. No one can assist them and no one can oppose them. If you think, oh yes, I'm doing so much service for Gurudev, what will happen?
You fall down.
You will fall down, exactly. Gurudev is not like that. Once Gurudev was in Australia and someone asked him, you have thousands of disciples all over the world. So don't you feel that this is a great burden on you? Srila Gurudev said, no, not at all. Why? He said, I am doing nothing. Behind the curtain, Gaurnitai are there and they are doing everything. This is really what's going on. Once some devotees came to Srila Prabhupada and said, Srila Prabhupada, in your books you have said that the Madhyamadikari is a preacher. So we are preaching. So does that mean that we are Madhyamadikaris? Srila Prabhupada said, I am preaching and you just do what I tell you to do. Understand? So what happens is, when persons come into the association of a pure Vaishnava, he's not interacting with the material world actually. And just as the Supreme Lord Shakti, Kriya Shakti, enters into both demons and demigods without them knowing to orchestrate the whole Leela, so when a pure devotee is moving into this world, the Kriya Shakti enters into those who so-called oppose him and those who so-called assist him. But those who assist him are very, very lucky. They are the lucky ones. That's why when a pure Vaishnava, Ashram Raj will tell you, we have seen Srila Govinda Raj walking to a temple room and devotees are doing a kirtan, and it's kind of so-so. And he just glances like this and then boom, everyone's floating in the sky. And the whole kirtan says, really, Golokera Premadana Harinama Sankirtana. What's going on? Huh? This is a fact. So what happens is that when we come into Vaishnava, many people also say this. They say, oh, I went to a festival with Gurudev and I was flying in the sky, I was serving day and night, I didn't need to eat or sleep or anything. But then afterwards I went home and then I watched TV and ate some chips and now I can't chant or, so much. I'm not feeling, I can't finish 64 rounds or whatever. I don't feel it. I'm not feeling the energy. Why is this? Not surrendered. So when someone comes into the association of a sadhu, and they do Atma Nivedan, Diksha Kali Bhakta Kari Atma Samarpan, say Kali Krishna Kari Tari Atma Sam. Krishna accepts us at the time when we give ourselves to Gurudev. Then, being connected with the order of Guru, now he stays under the control of the Kriya Shakti. Once we're in, oh Maharaj, maybe you, I think you were probably both there. Remember Gurudev's festival in Verbania? In Italy. Were you in Verbania? Laga Maggiore?
Never heard of it.
Big festival there.
Where is that?
In Italy. There's a video online of big Sankirtan. The Krishna Das and myself and 1,000 devotees, Gurudev sent us, go out on the shore of the big lake there and through the town and make Sankirtan. So before that, Shamarani Didi, Srimati Shamarani Didi, our very most senior Vaishnavi, she said to Gurudev, she said, Gurudev, if I go out on this Sankirtan, what benefit will people get? Because my chanting is not pure. So what benefit will they get? Gurudev said, because it is my order that you do it, my potency will be there. So when we surrender to our Gurudev, and when we serve the mission of our Gurudev, then the strength is there, the Kriya Shakti of the Supreme Lord is there. And if we are preaching or doing something, and then we think, oh, I am great, I am doing everything, then what will happen? Puna Mausik Baba!
Puna Musika Baba. You become a mouse
Okay, she knows, but for the benefit of others, perhaps you know there was one sadhu who was doing bhajan and one little mouse came there. Oh, Mahatma Ji, Sadhu Ji, Swami Ji, help me, I've been chased by a cat. So then he blessed it, oh, may you become a cat. So then that mouse became a cat. He went out. After a few days he came running. Oh, Gurudev, help me, I'm being chased by a dog. Okay, and he blessed him, he became a dog. After a few days, he came running back. Gurudev, help! I'm being chased by a tiger. Okay, blessed, he became a tiger. Then when he was a tiger, he thought, I am hungry. This sadhu would be a good meal for me today. And he was about to eat the sadhu, and the sadhu said, Puna Musik Baba. Again become a mouse. Became a rat again. A little rodent. From a tiger to a rodent. Yeah. Serious stuff. So this is the thing. When we come into the association of pure devotees, knowingly or unknowingly, to oppose or to assist, then the spiritual energy comes. Those who surrender, they say, stay connected with that, and that gives them a power. What power is that? To do sadhana. This is why it said, Mahat Kripa Bina Kauna Kama Bhakti Nai. Without the mercy of a sadhu, nothing that you do is bhakti. So Rupa Goswami Pad has said, Ado Sraddha. First, faith comes, that is also by association. Sraddha means hearing from a pure Vaishnava by the power of their words. A Vishesh Sanskar. Vishesh Sanskar, that means an intense impression comes in your chitta. Vishesh Sanskar. And it manifests in the form of Shastriya Shraddha. What's written in the scripture is true. Right? So that's Ado Shraddha. Scripture says what? Sadhu Sangha, Sava Shastrikai. Associate with the sadhu, so you come back. So first Shraddha, then Sadhu Sangha. The first Sadhu Sangha is more or less, from your point of view, kind of random. It happens somewhere or other. But once you have Shraddha, now with intention, you're associating with the sadhu, really to hear deeply and learn and progress. Then, after Sadhu Sangha, we having faith in, out of perhaps several sadhus, we feel particularly inspired by one, and we take shelter and receive initiation. And then comes, what? What's the next stage?
Bhajana Kriya.
Bhajana Kriya. Why is it called bhajana kriya? Why is it not called bhajan? Because it's not bhajan. It's just you came under the kriya shakti. Understand? Kriya. To do bhajan, the kriya shakti, the prabhav of the Lord, which is a kriya shakti, that's not enough to do bhajan. That's enough to get your senses moving. Kriti sadhya, bhavet sadhya. What do you need to do bhajan? The three anubhavs. Sandini, Samvit and Ladini. Understand? So, adosrata, sadhu sangha, bhajana kriya. You have come under the kriya shakti by surrendering to Guru. That means you get some potency to take your bead bag, to wake up every morning, to sing to the Supreme Lord, and remember your mantras and chant Harinam every day. And engage in service. That's why it's called the bhajana kriya. Bhajan means service, but it's just the kriya. It's the activities. But without mercy, even those activities you cannot do. And if someone is doing what looks like these activities, but they never had sadhu sangha, that is not actual bhakti abhas. Sorry, that is not the chaya bhakti abhas. It will be pratibimba bhakti abhas. Just like in a yoga studio, some Mayavadis come and sing a kirtan. Right? It looks like bhakti, but it's pratibimba. It has no connection with the real thing. There's no kriya shakti there at all. But if someone has connection with a pure devotee, they're doing kirtan under his guidance, on his order, then kriya shakti is actually bhajana kriya. Then it's still bhakti abhas, but it is a chaya bhakti abhas. It has a chance to become pure bhakti. You understand chaya and pratibimba? Pratibimba means reflection, and chaya means a shadow. The difference between a reflection and a shadow is, if there's a reflection of your face, it's not touching you, it's not connected to your face. Right. But if there's a shadow, if you follow the shadow, it leads to the real thing. Right? So chaya bhakti abhas leads to the real thing. And what Mayavadi is not going anywhere. Okay. So, because it's offensive. Mayavadi, Krishna aparadi. Now, so bhajana kriya. When you engage in bhajana kriya, gradually, then what happens? Satam prasangan mamavirya samvido bhavanti ritkana rasayana kata tadjoshnat asu apavarga vartmani sraddha rati bhaktir anukramisyati. We have discussed how by association and surrender we do bhajana kriya. But what we really want is to attain samvit. Because there's no realization from the kriya shakti, it will only make you act. You have to have anubhav, anubhuti, realization. So that is done by the samvit shakti. So satam prasangan, from the prasanga, that means prakrista rupain sangha, excellent sangha, prakrista sangha, excellent sangha. From that comes mamavirya, my shakti. What kind? Samvido, that means the influence of samvit shakti. Realization will come. So satam prasangan mamavirya samvido bhavanti ritkana rasayana kata. And when you hear sweet harikata from the lips of prakrista sangha, very excellent association, then it becomes rasayana. That means it doesn't only produce bhajana kriya, it will produce ruchi, taste. Actually, in the commentary on this verse, Vishwanath Chaitanya literally says, aprakrista sangha bhajana kriya matram. From sangha, who are not prakrista, excellent, from aprakrista sangha, you will only get bhajana kriya. But from prakrista sangha, the kata will turn into rasayanam. In other words, not only will you do bhajana kriya, practice, but you become steady, and then ruchi, taste will come. Ruchi will come. So that ruchi is the beginning of the actual raganuga sadhana. Is it? So shraddha means here shraddha in this verse means the eligibility for real sadhana. From ado shraddha up to nishta, this is actually not bhakti tattva. It's actually the shraddha tattva, the development of faith, from soft faith to firm faith. Srila Bhaktivinoda going Bhakti Tattva Vivek. That is the Shraddha Tattva, and Bhakti is the Samvit and Ladini. So first Kriya comes, engages you, then gradually by becoming steady in the practice, then Samvit will come. So Satam Prasangam Mamavirya Samvido Bhavanti Ritkana Rasayana Kata. Okay, good test. What comes from aprakrista sangha, not excellent sangha. Some sangha, but not excellent.
Bhajana
Comes-
Kriya.
Bhajana kriya, yes. What comes from prakrista sangha?
Ruchi.
Ruchi, and then bhava and then prem. Srata, rati, bhakti, anukramasati. Yes, exactly. Mamavirya samvidho, some revelation, realization of samvid shakti. So, now, thus far, we have discussed the necessity of associating with the pure Vaishnava and surrendering and serving them in order to get bhakti. But the topic of our festival is what? Radha Tattva. Service of Radha Krishna in Vrindavan. So, that bhakti even cannot be attained by pure Vaishnavas, but who are not Braj Rasik Rupanuga Vaishnavas. This should be a special type of Vaishnava. That's why Raghunath Das Swami said that verse, Asambhasik tadbhava gabira jitan. Without the samvad, the conversation with the Rasik Vaishnavas whose hearts are very deeply absorbed in Radha Seva. Kuta shama sindhu rasashavagaha. Where do you take your first step? Which direction is the ocean of Sringarasa? No one knows. Very mysterious. I'll tell one story. Once there was a scholar, Pandit, and he went to study, and he became very learned, theoretically, in all the Upanishads, all the Saddarshans, the classical Vedic systems of philosophy. And after, in Benares, Kashi, many Mayavadis are there. But after some time, he came to visit Vrindavan. And there, being in Vrindavan, he got inspired and he took up devotional service. And he became a devotee. Because he associated with some devotees there, and he also became a devotee, started the devotional path. So because he was a pandit, people respected him, and they used to ask him to give a class and speak some Harikatha. So then that pandit, who's now a devotee, he was explaining the nature of Maya, this material energy and the spiritual energy. And he said, unless and until the heart is completely free from Rajas and completely free from Tamas, then one cannot realize the service of Radha and Krishna. Understand? Can you realize the service of Radha and Krishna while the heart is contaminated by Rajas, mode of passion, worldly desires, attachments, false ego, bodily identification, and tamas, anger, and laziness, and envy? Is it possible? It's impossible. So what he said is correct? Yes? Correct?
Correct.
One Rasik Vaishnava was there in the audience. He said, excuse me, if you kindly allow me to say something, please, kindly allow me to say a few words. But what you have said has avyakti dosh. Avyakti dosh. That means the defect of an under-extension of the definition. In other words, it's true, but it does not fully fit the bill. It doesn't fully cover the instance. In other words, and then, because Rasik Vaishnavas, they have a particular way of expressing, which is not so prosaic, more poetic. So then that Vaishnava, he quoted Rupa Goswami, he said, Harim mudishate rajo baraha purata sangatayatya tama brajabama drisham na padati prakata sava drisham sute api. This verse is spoken by Purnamasi Devi. She saw that the sun was going down. And evening time was coming. The sky became full of dust. Why?
Yay! He was coming.
Krishna is returning from the forest, playing his flute with all of his cowboys and the cows. How beautiful! How sweet! When he's approaching, the deer from the forest, they want to follow him, but they're a bit shy, so they stop at the edge of the forest, they stop there, and with longing eyes they look as he continues. And they become jealous of the cows can keep going. As he's approaching the village, it's so beautiful because the sun is just setting and the sky has become red like the sindoor in the hair of a chaste woman. And just like when Krishna plays his flute, and all the cows look up with bright eyes looking at him. So in the village of Nandagaon, there are 88,000 lattice windows. And now it's become a little bit dark, and the Brijbasis have lit the lamps inside the houses. So the light is shining from 88,000 lattice windows in the village of Nandagaon, as if the village itself is looking at Krishna's arrival with 88,000 eyes full of love. And the flags are flapping on the houses, like the heart of the goddess of Vrindavan, ecstatic that Krishna is returning. And Krishna is entering into the village. But it's very hard to see it. Why? Because it's going dark and the dust has filled the air. So Purnamasi Devi said, Harimu dishatei rajobara purataha sangatayat muntama braja bama drisham na parati pakta sava disha suterapi. The meaning is that Krishna's divine pastimes are covered by a type of transcendental tamas and rajas. In other words, the gopis, they can't meet with Krishna until it goes dark. That's tama. Unless it goes dark, they won't be able to go out to meet with him. And unless the sky becomes full of dust, the word for dust in Sanskrit is rajas. So unless there's all the dust comes into the air and Krishna has returned, and unless the sun is setting and it's going dark, then it's not possible for gopis to have the chance to meet with Sri Krishna. So it is said that the divine Leela of Krishna is covered by a kind of transcendental raja and transcendental tama, such that prakatam sava drishasuterapi, even persons who know all the Vedas, Rig Veda, Samaveda, Yajurveda, Atharva Veda, all the Upanishads and Vedanta, knowing all the Vedas, even they cannot see the Braja Leela of Sri Krishna. What? Because they're not Rasik. They know Tattva, Brahma, Jiva and Maya and all these things. But still, they cannot enter. So that sadhu said to him, what you have said is true. You cannot realize the service of Krishna without being free from material rajas and tamas. But it's not the whole story. Because unless one has the association of a Brajrasic Vaishnava, it's confirmed. Unless one has the association of a Brajrasic Vaishnava, the samskar will not come by which one has a taste, ruchi, in the service of Radha and Krishna. Thank you, Mara. So, this is a very important point, the samskar. Otherwise you will not have taste. You see, there are many devotees practicing devotional service for a long time, and they're interested in so many things. Whatever, cow protection, prasadam distribution, the structure of the universe, whether the jiva fell from the spiritual world or somewhere else, or whatever. And for like 20, 30, 50, 70 years, their whole life, they're going on about these things. Why? Because the sanskar of Brajrasic association has not appeared in the heart. Srila Rupa Goswami Pad said, it's very important. Yathotaram aso swada vishesh ullasamai api rati vasanaya swadji vasate kapi kasyachit. It means, this verse from Bhaktarasamrita Sindhu, and it's also quoted, Mahaprabhu taught to Rupa Goswami, Chaitanya Charitamrita. So, here it's discussed the answer to two questions. The first question is, of all the rasas, Shantaras, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, Madhurya, of all of them, do they all give an equal amount of joy or not?
No.
So Rupa Goswami is answering, Yatotara aso swada vishesh ullasa. No. Each rasa, looking at them, Shanta, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya, each one gives a vishesh ullas, a more intense joy than the previous one. Okay? So that's the answer to the question, do all the rasas give the same amount of joy or not? And the answer is no. They increase as you go up this hierarchy of rasas. That's about. Now then the question comes, if Madhurya rasa, if Madhur rasa gives the most joy, why doesn't everyone just gravitate to Madhur rasa? Right? People go in the Sri Sampradaya to worship Lakshmi Narayan, people worship Sitaram, follow Dasarasa of Hanuman. People come also into our Sangha, and some people they want to love Krishna like a child or like a cowherd boy. Everyone is not gravitating to Madhura. So what's the reason? What is the reason? So Rupa Goswami Pad is saying, Rati Vasana Swadvi, a taste in a particular mood depends on Vasana. Vasana means samskars, impressions. And those impressions only come from Rasik Vaishnav Sangha, and you develop a taste in the mood in accordance with those you have association with. That's why Rupa Goswami says, Sajataya Snigde Sadhu Sangha Swato Bare. One should associate with like-minded Vaishnavas. If your mood is Sakras, go and be with the Sakras, those who have that mood. If your mood is in Madhurya Rasa, Radha Dasyam, Manjari Bhav, then we have to seek out such Vaishnavas. Only by associating with them and hearing from them, such an impression will come that we'll have a taste in hearing, chanting, and remembering Radha Nam, Rup, Gun, Parika, Lila Seva, all of these things. This is what we will be discussing over in these 7 classes. Only by that association. Now, Srila Vishnu Thakur has said, look, there are 3 possible situations. How does a person have taste in a particular mood? It could either be the person has no samskars, he has samskars in one rasa, or he has samskars in multiple rasas. In other words, he associated with different devotees in different moods. These are the 3 possibilities. So then he examines them one by one. First case, a person has no impressions of Brajrasic Rupanuga association. For that person, he won't have taste in any mood. So he'll just go on talking about whatever, vegetarianism, reincarnation, and things like this, whatever. He won't be attracted to one bhav and focusing on that. So he's got no interest in any particular mood. He's in a very general sense. Then, what if a person has impressions of associating with different kinds of devotees? Someone in Dasya, someone in Sakya, someone Vatsalya, someone in a Vaikuntha mood, and so on. Then he also won't develop a taste in one particular mood because he has internal confusion. Due to the mixture of samskaras, he doesn't have a clear taste in any particular sambandha with Krishna. And therefore the answer is, only the devotee who has one kind of impression develops the taste in one particular type of rati or sthayi bhav or relationship with Krishna, and really he does a very strong sadhana, kudisadya bhavet sadhya bhavasa sadhana vida nitya siddhasya bhavasya prakatyam vriti sadhyata. All his hearing, chanting and remembering is all focused, one-pointed on attaining that nitya siddha bhav, that eternally perfect mood. So, you know, Raghunath Das Goswami has also written about the necessity of associating with Radha's Bhaktas. And he has experience. Why? He was associating with Srila Rupa Goswami himself. You know, Rupa Goswami used to go every day with Sanatana Goswami and others and listen to Raghunath Bhatta Goswami reciting Srimad Bhagavatam. Because Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Mahaprabhu gave him his own Srimad Bhagavatam, that was his deity. That Bhagavatam is still there in the Gadi of Raghunath Bhatta in Vrindavan. Have you been there? Have you seen it? They only give darshan of Mahaprabhu's Bhagavatam on about 5 days of the year. Unless you are very close friends with the Pujari there. So, everyone used to come and listen to Raghunath Bhatta Goswami because he used to sing the verses of Srimad Bhagavatam in so many different beautiful ragas. And hearing him, everyone was weeping. They were trembling, weeping, rolling on the ground, experiencing the Satam prasangam mama virya samvido bhavanti rit karna rasaya, the rasayana katha. A tonic for the ears and for the heart. But one person was not affected by the katha. Who was not affected? Rupa Goswami. He was not crying. He was not rolling on the ground. He was just kind of blank expression. Everyone was wondering, how is this? How is this? Then someone noticed, actually, he's not breathing. And then they test his breathing. He pulled a little piece of cotton from his dhoti, one devotee, and held it under the nose of Rupa Goswami to see if it was. And the little breath was coming. And it was so hot like fire, it gave a blister on the tip of his finger. Because he was feeling such intense separation from Radha and Krishna. But it was not manifest outside because his heart is like an ocean. You know? If you put a little fish in a little fish bowl like that, he can swim around and splash the water out. But if you put that fish in a big ocean, he cannot change the form, the shape of the ocean. Even a whale cannot, because it's so deep. So he was experiencing actually greater, bigger waves of ecstasy. Gopi bhava rasamritabdi lahari kalola magno muhur vande rupa sanatano ragujo si jiva gopalako. Diving and surfacing again and again in the high tidal waves of Gopi bhav. That amrita. He was doing this. But because his heart is vast like an ocean, it wasn't splashing outside. Nothing was seen on the outside. So we want to have such association. From that will come not only bhajana kriya, some engagement in bhakti. By ordinary devotee association, we can become engaged, some connection. But mamavir, samvido, some sambit shakti, anubhuti, realization, and ultimately bhakti rasa. So Srila Raghunath Das Goswami said, Yadyatnata samadamatma viveka yoga adhyatma lagnama vikarma bun manoge rupasya tatsmita sudam sadayavalokam asadya madhyati harischarita idanim. I am remembering my dear Rupa Goswami Pad, Shiksha Gurudev, Rupa Goswami Pad. Yatnata. He made great endeavors. He tried again and again. Yadyatnata samadhammatma viveka yoga. Through his harikatha to instill me with the sense of vivek, discrimination. Nira hira, chira hangsana, kona pratak kori payata. What's the difference between Mishra Bhakti and Shuddha Bhakti? What's the difference between Sadhana Bhakti and Bhav Bhakti and Prema Bhakti? What's the difference between Vaidya Bhakti and Raganuga Bhakti? What's the difference between Dasya Sakya Vatsala and Madhurya? In Madhurya, what are the varieties there? Prem, Sneha, Man, Pranayara. To instill in me the vivek, the discrimination in all of these matters. And yoga here means adhyatma lagnam. By his association, I learned how to apply my mind, fix my mind, avikara bun manobe, and that my mind will become nirvikar. Nirvikar, concentrated. When you sit to remember your Gayatri mantras, or when you sit to chant japa, then is your mind nirvikar? Is it completely smooth and clean and unmoving? Bhakti yogena manasi samyak pranihite male? That means completely samadhi, halted. And then the beautiful pastimes of Krishna reflected in the shining mirror of that still mind. What is going on? What is happening? Nirvikar or Savikar? Brahmanda Parikrama. Mind going on a parikrama of the whole universe here and there.
That's
Going to the supermarket, going to the mother-in-law, going to the cinema. No. Why is our mind restless? Because we have not made a deep relationship with the Rasik Vaishnava. When we have a deep loving relationship, Dadati pratigrinati guyamaketi prachiti bhumte bojete chara sadvida priti lakshanam. Giving some gifts, receiving something, revealing the heart in confidence, hearing some confidential katha, offering prasadam, taking their remnants. When the exchanges of love are there, and serving, hearing again and again, then Avikarna Bun Manome, Raghunath Das Goswami said, by his endeavor again and again, he made my chitta nirvikar. Now the yogis also have a nirvikar chitta when they meditate on Paramatma. So that's not enough. So Rupasya Tatsmitamukam Sadayavalokam. And when he made my chitta nirvikar by his sweet smile and by his loving glance, now he has made my heart mad and intoxicated for the beautiful sweet pastimes of Radha and Krishna. This is how it happens. Brajrasik Rupanuga Sangha. So Raghunath Das Goswami said, Abir Pali Patiput Kanta Dasabilasati Valassavarya Sri Rupa Chintamala Sapti Sangsto Matswanta Durdanta Yet Churastam. The meaning is, my mind is like a wild horse. I can't control a wild horse. But there's one very powerful jockey, horse rider. And this horse rider is the embodiment of Abir Pali Patiputa Kanda Dasa Vilas. A very powerful desire to become the dasi, the maidservant of Abir Pali Patiputa Kanta. That's a very sweet way of saying Radha. Abhira, Madhyashori is from one jati, one caste. Among the gopis called Abhira. So the village that she's in is called Abhira Pali. The village of the Abhira caste. So Abhira Pali Pati, there's a king in that village. Who's that? Nanda Maharaj. Abhira Pali Pati Putra. And Nanda Maharaj has a son. Abhira Pali Pati Putra, who is that? Krishna. Abhira Pali Pati Putra Kanta. And that Krishna, who is the son of the king of the Abhira village, has a lover, Kanta, Radhika. So there is one powerful horse rider who is the embodiment of the strong desire to serve the lotus feet of Radhika. What is that? Sri Rupa Chintamala, the constant remembrance of the pastimes of Rupa Goswami. How he's hearing, how he's chanting, how he's remembering, how he was merciful to me. By meditating on that Brajrashik Vaishnava, then that strong desire to serve Radhika comes and sits on the wild horse of my mind and controls it and takes me to Goloka Vrindavan. Srila Rupa Goswami Pada Ki Jai! Srila Raghunath Das Goswami Pada Ki Jai! Srila Gurudeva Ki Jai! Sri Rupanuga Vaishnava Sangha Ki Jai! Hare Vrindavan Bihari Lala Ki Jai! Hare Saniwali Ki Jai! Jai Jai Sri Radhe! Gaur Premanande. So,
Ki Jai! Bhagavad Maharaj Ki Jai! Jai!
there are some questions, and you can ask those questions tomorrow morning, because it's quite late now. Yeah, we have Gora Arti and Prasad, so I don't want to go too late, but in that way you're kind of forced to come for the morning program. So please come every day. Today we discussed Radha's Bhaktas, and tomorrow morning we begin with the glory of Radha Nam, and in the evening Radha Dham. So try to, if you can come every day, then it will be complete. Each point.
Yeah.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Jai.
So now, the Panchatattva are waiting for us on the bank of the Ganga in Navadvip Town. Maharaj, would you like to sing our song?
Baba Maharaj ki jai.
Tomorrow morning it's 6:15 here,
I brought it back.
and we're having Mangalarti together, Tulsi Parikram together, then Japa together, then we're going to have a light breakfast, and then morning Harikatha. So very important
Yes,
everybody come.
Mangalarti, and then after Mangalarti, I will sit. I want to sit with you all together. And with a Nirvikar Chitta, sitting together with full steadiness, be in the shelter of Lord Guru. For like 90 minutes, an hour and a half at least. And then there will be breakfast. And then the kirtan will be afterwards. Okay, so please come and go in the age absorption. No, the breakfast is going to be before class. I changed the schedule because I don't want people to be hungry during the class. Kiba jayo, jayo, gaura chande, arutike shobha. Kiba jayo, jayo, gaura chande, arutike shobha. Hare 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 Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Hare